we have some breaking news. Brian Callahan, with a 1-5 start, just got fired. So we want to dive into that because that was breaking news about 5 minutes ago. So, Skip, are you surprised that Callahan got fired so quick?
I am. Amy Adams Strunk does not mess around. She's running the team as the daughter of the late Bud Adams. And we're, 6 games in to season number 2. He's 4-19 as the head coach. This is just me. I couldn't understand why he was hired in the first place because he was not the coordinator for Joe Burrow. And Joe Burrow can make anybody look pretty great as the quarterback. But he was remember, Zach Taylor's the play caller, and I think the buck stops on his desk when it comes to what the offensive design is, if not on Joe Burrow's desk. And off that, riding those coattails, Brian Callahan got this job, in part because I know his father very well. Bill Callahan is one of the greatest offensive line coaches ever and did coach the Raiders that I covered to the Super Bowl that year. They got smoked by your Buccaneers, but still, he did do that. And I think off the father's credentials, the son got a shot that maybe he didn't deserve. But obviously, he's the fastest coach fired after picking a quarterback #1 overall. Cam Ward has not been very good. He's had flashes and moments. I'm not writing him completely off, but it just seems like Brian Callahan at least deserved this year just to see if he could figure something else out. And I assume Amy Adams Strunk just said, nope, I've seen enough. That's it.
Right. I think it was time for him. I actually think Callahan, he got that job because you're supposed to be an offensive guru, right? You got it from Sean McVay. You come from that tree.
Okay, well, I guess so.
Coach Taylor. Yeah. You come from Sean McVay. You come from Coach Taylor. So it's supposed to look a certain way. And I don't think they saw that. You know what I'm saying? In 6 weeks, we don't see no glimpse of Sean McVay. Nothing even close. So what do we hire you for? Like, you know what I'm saying? You hire somebody to do a job, they're not even close to doing their job. You're going to fire their ass too, right, Skip?
Yeah.
It's not even close. So they can't go wrong right here. I mean, hey, next man up. I mean, if it's somebody from Sean McVay tree, I think Cam will do well with somebody from that tree, but like you said, maybe it's the experience in the game, calling plays. Maybe they need to find somebody like that. You know what I'm saying? So I was with it, man. It was time for a change, man. Cam, he deserved better.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't mind the decision. I was surprised, like you were, Skip. I didn't think it was going to happen this early. I mean, it's 6 games into Cam Ward's career, and you're already losing your head coach, so that worries me. But this is the risk you take nowadays with hiring these young coaches who have never been a head coach before.
Yep.
Because sometimes it hits and it's great and you found your guy of the future, and sometimes it doesn't work and now you set your franchise back multiple years with a first-round pick or a first overall pick at quarterback that needs to be developed the right way. So it's frustrating. Either way, whatever they do going forward, they cannot miss again. You have to be perfect with your decision-making. They have a jump start right now in the process. They can spend all this time throughout the year behind the scenes, figuring out who they want to make their next coach, guys that they want to put on that short list, go do their due diligence, do these interviews, who's going to be great for Cam Ward, what's going to help our organization get to where we want to be, but also make Cam Ward the quarterback of the future. So they got to get it figured out. I know we spoke a couple weeks ago about me being worried about Cam Ward, and I know where he's from, and he's gone through some adversity, but this was the thing that I was concerned about.
Okay, so would you let Cam pick the next head coach?
No, you don't let him pick. You're not going to let him pick the next head coach, but if you have the right people in place to make decisions, they're going to look at all the film and do their interviews and watch all the tape and do these different things and say, hey, Cam Ward can play in this offense. Cam Ward can play for this guy. Or they may go get a defensive-minded coach, but you can't miss on your offensive coordinator because right now your focus, needs to be in the entire team, but priority 1A is how you develop Cam Ward going forward because that's your investment.
I want all the way just put it on the hiring the young coaches, and this is the risk you take. You can hire an old coach. You never know. You don't know what's going to happen, man. You can hire an old guy who was great before he come in, he trash now. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. Sometimes it work with older coaches or younger coaches. Sometimes it don't. You know what I'm saying? This one ain't work out. Go to the next guy.
So allow me to say one more time, if they had picked Shedeur instead of Cam, I know you love Cam, but I love Shedeur more. I don't think this would have happened. That's just me. That's how good Shedeur is. Wow. He has the charisma factor, the it factor to change the franchise. And and inspire the defense as well as the offense. And I haven't seen Cam be able to do that yet.
See, I think Cam do have that. I mean, you look at everywhere he went, everywhere he's been, they won as well, just like Shador. I think that's what.
I mean, they didn't win national championship.
I mean, Shador and them didn't either.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
But
they,
listen,
they
the
completely
odds
turned
against
around.
Shador at Jackson State and then coming to Colorado where they were a doormat.
I mean, they completely turned around the team that they went to. You know what I'm saying? The team was flat and damn near dead, and they brought it back to life. So I feel like Cam Ward does have that ability. And I feel like that's why him and Shador, they kind of clicked. That's what they got in common. That's why they're so close, because they both kind of got that charisma to turn the team around. You know what I'm saying? So,
I agree with that too. I mean, when you watch Cam Ward on film, he makes some throws that not a lot of guys can make. And he has these arm angles that you don't learn as a young player. He's just a natural thrower of the football. Those are things you can't teach. You hear coaches saying, hey, you can't teach that. That's what Cam Ward has. And Shador's in that category as well. He can make some throws on tape where you're like, all right, there's not a lot of guys that can do that. But back to your point, when it comes to hiring these young coaches, I get what you're saying. And there's times where coaches are great at one place and they don't do a good job at the next place. But at least when you're going through that process, you have a baseline of, all right, this is what we can expect from a Sean Payton. This is what we can expect from Pete Carroll coming to the Raiders. When you're hiring a guy like Brian Callahan or some of these younger coaches, you have no idea what you're going to get. You don't know what the organization is going to look like. You don't know what the foundation.
But you can name the ones who did good in those situations as well. You know what I'm saying?
100%. But I'm saying it's so 50, hit or miss. That's why I'm saying either you find the guy of the future, like the McVays and the Kyle Shanahans of the world, where it's like, all right, we've got our guy, or you get the Brian Callahans of the world where it doesn't work out, and now you set your organization back a couple years, and this next hire becomes so important because if you miss, you're going to significantly hurt Cam Ward's development.
Is there any coach that you'd want to see with Cam Ward?
It's tough. It's too early. And I'll be honest, I'll call it out. I thought Brian Callahan was going to be a good hire when they hired him last year. I thought,
Me too.
The Sean McVay tree, all of that, I'm like, he can be the guy that can turn around. I hate that they got rid of Vrabel in the first place. I'm a big Mike Vrabel fan.
Really? Okay.
Well, look what he's...
But it's working out for the Patriots. But when they hired Callahan, and I think he had a little bit more to do with Joe Burrow's development. I mean, he went through an injury, helped him get back from that. He was in the quarterback meetings with him day in and day out for all of that time. They went through, even though he's not calling plays, as an offensive coordinator, you're still installing the game plan, going over it with the quarterback, making sure that you're on the same page with each other and that he can go out there and perform at a high level. So I was a fan of this hire. And then you go get Cam Ward. I mean, I said it back on a show I did, I think in April before the draft, or back in February before the draft. I said, go get Cam Ward number 1 overall and pair him up with Brian Callahan. I think you're going to give him at least a shot to develop the right way. But then again, reality sets in. You never know what's going to happen.
Listen, anybody who coaches Joe Burrow is a product of Joe Burrow. I don't care what you say.
Yeah, I agree.
Again, I respect his ability as a coach, as an offensive coach. But no, it's not going to translate immediately, oh, you did that for Joe Burrow and you'll do that for Cam Ward. No, you won't.
I'm not saying it will, but when this is all going through the hiring process, these are all what ifs and maybes. When you just look at it from the outside looking in, you would think, okay, when the Titans were figuring out who's going to be our next head coach, and they did the interviews, but you see, okay, he worked well with Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow did this while he was working with Brian Callahan as the offensive coordinator. Maybe we can replicate the same thing here at Tennessee. The reality sets in, though, once they get there, you don't know if you're going to find that same thing, and you're not going to find a guy like Joe Burrow, but you go get a number 1 overall pick in Cam Ward, you're just hoping to replicate that and have some same magic.
Last thing about Cam Ward. I watched him a lot at Miami. I haven't watched him a whole lot yet this year. I don't know how much film you've studied.
I've seen I watched a couple games.
But at Miami, he tended to go Caleb too much, where he would just, he was so much more athletic and so much stronger and more physical than a lot of the people rushing him, that he could beat all of them and make a play on the run. You can't consistently get away with Caleb Williams on this level. We'll see Caleb again tonight. At some point, you have to stand and throw on time in this league to win big and win right and to win consistently. You just have to throw it from the pocket pretty regularly. You can do the other stuff in doses when you pick the right spot. But to me, Cam is still, and maybe it's just a product of a bad offensive line, he still runs around and tries to make plays that he made at Miami, and you just can't pull it off. And I've seen too many where I'm just like hiding my eyes for him because bad stuff's going to happen when you try that.
Yeah, he's going to have his learning curve, of course.
Yeah.
He's going to have to figure out how the league works, the speed of the defense, nothing like college. But as he's figuring that out, shit, they could run the ball a lot better. You know what I'm saying? The flow of the game, the flow of the play calls could be a lot better.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So he could get a lot more help than he got right now. So get him up out of there, man. He don't have a team. Once you lose, it's one thing to call plays and do whatever you do, be in the meetings with Joe Burrow day in, day out. But now you got to lead all 65 of these guys.
Yeah.
You do.
You know what I'm saying?
You wear a lot of different hats.
That's a totally different challenge.
To your point, you always knew immediately, first meeting,
First
take
meeting.
one look at the guy.
Yep.
Yep.
Has he got it or not got it?
Hey.
Yeah.
Immediately. You know what I'm saying? And some guys just be jokes, man. And once the guys like myself, the leaders on that team,
They're out.
label you as a joke,
Yeah.
hey, the rest of the guys go follow in line. It's just not going to be good. So.
Well, I'm actually shocked. We did a little like social media segment with some of the guys asking who was going to be the first coach to get fired. And we had Richie said Mike McDaniels, Gerald said Mike McDaniels, Skip said Jim Harbaugh.
John Harbaugh.
Oh, sorry, John Harbaugh.
John Harbaugh, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
John
Yeah.
Harbaugh. Yeah,
Wow.
sorry about that. And Akeem,
Yeah.
did you say Mike McDaniels too?
I did.
So nobody said
Nobody.
Callahan. And then he got, so that was
Boom.
fast. I wasn't expecting that at all. But let's talk about another team that's obviously struggling so badly because the Jets.